Good afternoon. Today on Business Success in Six with Stacie, I have Brandon Chalker here from Milwaukee Esports Alliance. Brandon, thanks for jumping on today.
What's up, Stacie? Glad to be here.
Nada, nada. We are looking forward to learning all about your business. You've got a really cool backdrop there, so you're going to explain that to us, and we're going to ask you 6 questions in 6 minutes. Is that okay?
I'm ready. Timer's
Right
on.
on. When people ask you what your business does, how do you describe it?
So I describe it as we're the Milwaukee Esports Alliance. Our responsibility is to be the connective tissue in the, I would say, gaming ecosystem, primarily of Southern Wisconsin, but really the state as a whole, because we are kind of the only shop in town, and we're really diligent about trying to, bring people together. So we do, connecting of places from high schools, colleges, pro teams, venues, leagues, you name it. We try to provide all of those different parts of the gaming and esports ecosystem a place to collide, whether it's our discords, our social media, website, Wisconsin Esports Summit, all that kind of stuff. So that's our primary focus.
Very interesting. Side question, how long have you been in business?
Yeah, so we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary here, shockingly, in November, which is crazy because it has been an absolute wild ride since we began in November of, I guess, would have been 2020. So yeah, it's crazy.
So you opened up in the middle of the pandemic.
We did, yeah. And actually, for our business, it's been more of a gift than we could have ever imagined, and mainly because it's just allowed us to scale and connect so quickly. The gaming and esports community is largely digital anyhow, to a large degree. But we're averaging in the day 50, 60 meetings a month, and it was just able to be done through things like this. Whereas if we'd have had to have scheduled coffee meetings or done the traditional connection, it would taken us a decade to have done what has taken just under 2 years. So we actually were very fortunate in that way that COVID was a boost to our business and where we were able to grow.
So, when you started your business during the pandemic, what were your plans and how have they changed in the past 2 years?
So I would say we kind of started it without really knowing, all of the end goals in mind. We had, I actually, as the founder, kind of had just started because I wanted to know more about gaming for my son. I'm a retro gamer, as you can see by the arcades behind me. So my passion was in collecting old relics of video games that I grew up playing. But I wanted to know more for him because he's 3 years old, and I wanted to be, kind of what my parents weren't, which is of no offense to them, but they were very kind of with the stigma of gaming and not interested in sort of technology in that way. And so, I just got into it to kind of find out more. And when I went to research it, I just realized that there was no information, which was kind of bizarre given that it's a $1 billion industry and I live in the state's largest metro. And so from like day one, I knew that there was probably an issue. But then, when I did get to find some people who were very gracious and taking time to speak with me and help get me educated, the common theme was just that there's an incredible amount of groundswell and activity and interest and passion. The economics are not such that a lot of that leads to employment typically at a local level. So you hear a lot of the $1 billion industry talk, but it doesn't always transition to the local economies. And
Mhm.
so those groups said, hey, we would love to collaborate and love to work together. That would be a great thought, but it's not going to be us. It's not our job. We're the, coach at a college. We're this, we're that. And so, when we kind of got the idea that there might be value in that, I have had a history of, kind of startup culture, nonprofit culture creation. People were interested. And so we just kind of took off with this idea that something like this would have merit. We did have some, I would say examples to go off of. So Atlanta has an esports alliance, Kansas City has a coalition. So we were able to talk to some of those groups as well. But yeah, we started it with the hey, community, what do you need? Let's see if we can provide it. Let's see if we can be innovative. Let's see if we can create and make some new cool stuff that's never been done here. And so, yeah, that was kind of how it began and what our goals were. And it's definitely evolved over 24 months, to say the least.
So that really leads us into my next question that I always ask is what is the biggest way you impact the community? So you're just talking about community.
Yeah, I mean, we're really, really fortunate to kind of be at a nice place as a catalyst for the esports community because there's really nothing serving the need that we do today. And so we're able to kind of be that epicenter of where a lot of the different groups come together, whether it's our community Zooms once a quarter or our game time newsletter each month. Like I mentioned, the Wisconsin Esports Summit coming up here in March of 23 is going to be at WM Panther Arena. So we are impacting the community by just trying to increase collaboration, increase communication, increase those collision points between the different players in our ecosystem to work together. And our whole mission for existence is really just to continue to accelerate that because it's increasing and growing at a 100x clip at many places around the country. And so it really is a competitive landscape that we don't want to get left behind in Wisconsin because of our lack of development. So that's a major, I would say, interest of our organization and our partners like the MMAC, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Summer Fests, all of basically these entities that realize the growth of gaming is going to be a positive to their business as well. So yeah, that's our job. That's what we do.
So what is one challenge that you have faced so far that others could learn from?
I would say that, there's still a stigmatization about gaming and about video games a lot of times. We have the great opportunity to help educate parents and to answer questions for parents of children who play video games. 98% of kids under 18 do play video games. And so it's a really relevant issue to society right now. And so we're trying to just be a helpful, tool for people to find out information, to get educated, to just understand what it might mean for them and their families. But we have to overcome that, and that's okay. I think it's relevant as a parent. I have those same concerns or considerations as anyone. And so we're really focused on that, but that can get in the way. And then just in general, it's just a lack of awareness. I think people are still maybe under the impression that games as a primary driver are still the ones of the 90s and the 2000s of you sit down and you play with your friends and you go away. But we're estimated by 2025 to be a $3.5 billion industry, right? So it's expansive both in the player base and the eyeballs, which then leads to sponsorships and all the rest, as well as a actual business sector, is where people can, be employed, earn a living, have a career. And so, it's just a lot of the overcoming of those things are probably our biggest challenges.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, you read my mind actually. I have three boys and I was wondering, so do they educate people? And I think that's really smart that you're educating and sharing that with the community so that, I mean, knowledge is power, right?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think that, there are more resources every day. There's one called COPE, which is about, parents of esports players. That could be a helpful tool. But, locally, we're trying to do a lot of work here in the Wisconsin and Southern Wisconsin community. That's a differentiator. We are here. We're trying to provide opportunities for people to intersect that don't have to be on, California out on the East Coast. And so, yeah, the more the better, but certainly it's something that's relevant all the time.
Mhm. Interesting. What does the future look like for you? And do you have an exit plan?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're in the process right now. A lot of, I would say, organizations similar to ours have started to kind of get into the conglomerate space. So having maybe multiple laterals of the business out there, whether it's a professional team, whether it's a facility, whether it's a league, whether it's just graphic design and t-shirts or, creating the jerseys, so they're starting to kind of, I would say, piece together like bigger conglomerate esports entities. I think that we're entertaining that if we can be of help. We're certainly not trying to overtake. We're certainly not trying to take what other people have done. We're just trying to empower. If there's opportunities where organizations are saying, hey, we could use the back end, the financials, the legal, the marketing of your organization, and it would be beneficial to us to just do what we do best and in esports, then we're certainly open to that and trying to work through that. So I see that in our future. We're in talks right now to hopefully have a facility downtown by 2024, working with the Wisconsin Center District on some proposals for that. I think we will likely also have some opportunity to do so in more rural or suburban communities as well, because there's growth and interest everywhere in the brick and mortar sense for esports development. So I would wager in the next, 2 to 3 years, we hope to actually have some, permanent installation type stuff in communities. And then we're just going to keep on working on equity and access. MPS just launched 10 programs at 10 different high schools. There's plans to launch up to 34. So we want to just continue to make sure that this is, accessible and equitable to as many people and communities as we can. It could be rural communities without internet access. It could be urban communities without resources. Gaming is one of those nice ties together across a lot of different, socioeconomic, ethnic cultures. And so, yeah, so I think that's what I'm hopeful in our future will occur. And then really, we're just trying to put our name on the map. As I mentioned, there's a lot of VC funding. There's a lot of stuff going on around the country. And so we're trying to be relevant. We're trying to have people think relevantly about Wisconsin, think relevantly about Milwaukee and Madison for investment, for infrastructure growth. So the more we can kind of evangelize what's going on here and the groundswell and the effort and the communities we have, the better, because I think it's going to lead to really exciting things here in the future.
Absolutely. So the last question I have for you is all subjects open. What inspires you most?
All subjects open. What inspires me most? I'm a big proponent of trying to optimize time and use it to just kind of create the most that you can of yourself and hopefully those around you. So it's inspirational to me to try to help those that are in need. My big ones are blindness and some of the disability side of things is really important. I think to be able to empower or help people because it's an incredible journey that they're on in general. So that is motivating and inspiring to me. And really, I think it's just making the most of your time that you're given. That's really important to me every day. And so, we all have different skill sets and different abilities, but it's like all you can do is try your best with what you have. And I think that pursuit is very motivating to me. So it's like, hey, why not me? Why not the people that I work with? Why not us to do something significant? There's no reason that you can't shoot for that. And there's no reason not to try because what else would you do? Shoot for less? Would you just not get enough out of yourself and your talents and your abilities? So I'm pretty passionate about that because I think it's kind of part of the journey of being on this little blue ball. So that's my
Absolutely.
passion. Yeah.
Yeah, and we all have the same amount of time. So how are we going to use that time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's inspirational, and it's also something that we can all really learn from as well. So thank you for
Yeah.
talking about that. Well,
For
it's
sure.
been such a pleasure spending time with you today. And if we want to send our clients to your website, is that the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I think the website mkeesports.com would be a great place to go. Otherwise, my email is Brandon at mkeesports.com. I always welcome emails. Like I said, a lot of my world is just taking meetings and getting a chance to evangelize, speak to people that are interested, get corporations involved. This makes sense. So, yeah, if there's someone who ends up watching this that says, hey, I'm a parent of a child, or my business has been thinking about gaming, but we haven't been able to attribute enough time to it to kind of bring it into the fold. That's a lot of what we do is we kind of pick up the baton and make sure that if people have an interest or it's important to them, that we get them to that finish line of having gaming incorporated, whether it's talent recruitment, retention, engagement, or it's just I want to know I have 3 boys and they all play video games and I'd like to connect with them and it's weird to me. How can I? What does this mean? So we try to serve all those different places.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
You have an amazing afternoon.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.